In a world where trust is shattered and love is tested, one channel dares to uncover the untold stories of heartbreak and betrayal. Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles, where real-life tales of infidelity are unraveled, secrets exposed, and lives forever changed. Join us as we navigate the complex world of relationships, offering support, understanding, and a place for those who have faced the pain of betrayal. Subscribe to Heartbreak Chronicles now, because every story deserves to be told, and every heartbreak deserves to be heard. Story 1. Wife cheated, in shock. So my wife and I have been together for 3 years. We both fell madly in love with each other when we first met. We instantly moved in together, and less than a year after I proposed to her, we finally got married in April of this year. We've been married now for roughly 7 months. It was a fantastic wedding, and I can honestly say it was the happiest day of my life. About 4 months ago, I found out that she had been talking to a guy she met online. She had gone on a date with him. She came clean about it, and I forgave her. I asked her why she did it, and she said that she felt like our spark was gone and that I wasn't giving her what she needed in our marriage. I forgave her in hopes of change for the better. After that, things were not the same anymore. The arguments were almost non-stop. We would sleep separately on and off. She would constantly bring up divorce and tell me how I'm not man enough to support her or fulfill her needs. I really tried my best. We ended up going on a little weekend getaway trip in hopes to bring that spark back. 2 weeks after our trip, I found out that she was still talking to the same guy. I forgave her again. I tried to give her everything she needed, physically, emotionally, financially. Again, things seemed like they were going back to normal. A month later, the arguments started again. She would pick fights over the smallest issues, and of course I was the one to always try to reconcile and make things better. She stopped being intimate with me for 2 whole months at this point. Fast forward to this past week, we've argued like we never have before. She decided the only option left for us was divorce. I told her that I didn't want a divorce. I wanted our marriage and the life we had together. 2 days ago we reconciled again. We decided that we were going to stay together. As always, with all the faith and love I had for her, I didn't think twice on the possibility of saving our marriage. Fast forward to yesterday, we got into a really big fight. I told her that she was being a terrible wife and that I deserved better. She ended up telling me that she's on multiple dating sites and she wants to see other people and end our marriage. I didn't know what to say to her after she made that comment. I was hurt, and I left the house to give myself space to process things. She eventually texted me and said that she was going to start dating other men, she was done with our marriage, and that she is going to file for divorce. She didn't care about my feelings at all. I tried to explain to her that although emotionally she was checked out of the relationship for however long, I was still in love with her, and that it wasn't fair for her to start seeing other men while still living together and being married. By the time I got back home, she was gone. She left behind a letter basically letting me know that she hopes we can still be friends after everything, but that she is going to finally start living her life again. I tried calling her and texting her, but she had blocked me on everything. She didn't come back home until midnight. I tried to talk to her, but she didn't want to have a conversation with me and went straight to bed. Deep down inside, I knew she had been with someone else. In hopes of answers and closure, I grabbed her computer and went through her messages. Her computer is synced with her phone, so all her text messages go to her computer. I dug deep and I found the most devastating thing I could have come across. She had sex with a guy she had just met yesterday on a dating app. It was their first time meeting. She had texted her best friend that her intention was not to sleep with him, but that she felt like the chemistry was right. Apparently this guy is rich, tall, and very good looking. She also told her friend that this is the first time she has had sex in the past 2 months and ever had sex outside of our relationship. She mentioned that it was exhilarating and that she didn't regret it and that she would do it again. So here's where I'm at. I'm in complete turmoil. I haven't felt like I could breathe in hours, uncontrollably crying on and off, asking myself every question I possibly could. How could the woman I love so much and put on a pedestal do this to me? How did we get to this point? Am I not good enough? Who is this person I thought I knew and married? What happened to our marriage, and when did she stop loving me? What did I do that wasn't good enough for her? On top of everything, I'm plagued with thoughts of her giving herself to someone else, and it is absolutely destroying me. I never thought the woman I considered to be my soulmate would do this to me. I know our marriage is over, and I know that I will never forgive her. I also accept that whoever she has become, I will never be able to change her. Above all else, I still love her. I still wish things were how they used to be. I wish she would have focused on us and worked harder on our marriage. I know it's going to be a long road of recovering and picking up the broken pieces. It's going to take me a long time to get over this or past it. I don't feel fully ready for the journey ahead, but I know that I'm going to have to try to move on from her. Everything is still so fresh, and we haven't spoken since she last went out. I'm going to give myself some time to compose myself, to gather my thoughts and feelings before I try to talk to her again. I'm not sure yet if it's even worth confronting her about sleeping with this random guy she met. If you've read this far, I appreciate you. I just really needed to get this off my chest. Update. I feel like I'm finally growing out of this constant cycle I've been going through with my wife. I heard and listened to a lot of what you guys said about not having enough self-respect to value myself enough to not put up with how things have been. For once in our relationship, I stopped playing the pick-me game. I stopped giving in to her demands and I stopped trying to understand her or forgive her. After that night, where she voiced her desire to end our marriage and ended up sleeping with some random guy she met off a dating app, emotionally I have detached myself from her. Everything I used to see in her is gone. The woman I put up on a pedestal is no longer in that place. She's been begging to try to save our marriage. The last 2 days, she has relentlessly tried to convince me that things would change. She even went as far as to sexually try to entice me by flaunting herself around the house. Honestly, that pulled me away even harder. She still doesn't know that I know she slept with him. The only thing she knows is that I'm done with her and our marriage. I can say that this is the first time I've ever felt this way and truly have meant every word of not wanting to reconcile with my wife. This is also the first time she has ever fought for me. But I feel like I'm gone, the damage has been done and that I need to move on with my life. She only started caring once I pulled away completely. I don't think she ever thought that she would lose me. How would she when I've always been there for her and forgiven her? The last interaction I had with her was supposedly her last chance of reconciliation. After days of me not giving in, she finally blamed me for not loving her and for walking away from our marriage. Apparently I don't love her enough to fix us. She explained to me how she still sees a future and that she doesn't want to lose me. I explained to her that I'm done giving her chances. Instead of focusing on the reasons why I felt how I did, all she did was blame me for not loving her enough to stay. Now I'm the bad guy, I'm the guy who broke her heart. I'm the one that walked away from her. After she didn't get what she wanted and my response was opposite of what she's used to. Her narrative is that her husband is leaving her because he doesn't love her. She's the victim now and the one that is in pain and grieving. She spent the last few days crying in her bedroom alone, often letting me know that I'm an awful husband for watching her cry and not comforting her. Honestly, I'm just tired. I'm tired of caring and loving someone that doesn't respect me. Everything I used to see in her is gone. It's bad to say that I've gotten to this point only when she physically got involved with someone else, but that changed everything for me. It's no longer hard to picture a life without her. Does it still hurt? Yes, but I'm not lying to myself anymore and thinking that there's any type of future with her. Also, I appreciate everyone for their advice and for listening to me. Reading all of your posts really helped keep me level-headed and realized where I was wrong in the situation. You guys gave me the strength to change the cycle. I never realized some of the things I was doing that was ultimately rewarding her for her behaviors. I found it in myself to have that respect that I deserve and I've decided I'm fully going through the divorce. Story 2. Wife and mother of 2 little boys cheated and wants me back. I posted my entire story on Infidelity subreddits and made up my mind that divorce needs to happen. However, there were some people there who recommended that I also post here so that I also get an opinion of betrayed spouses who decided to continue their relationship under certain circumstances. I think it will help me get the whole picture before continuing with some major life decisions. My story. Wife had a boyfriend while being married to me. It was her ex living abroad, but he visited her a few times. Both he and Pa. It lasted for around 7 months. I gathered all the evidence I needed, confronted her and moved out, leaving her with our 2 kids. I moved out because it was not our flat. It was her dad's flat. He was letting us use it until we finished building our house. It had to be me. That was 3 months ago. Details in my previous posts. Update. Our attorneys finally came into an agreement and the divorce will happen shortly. She is taking the unfinished house and the mortgage is exclusively hers now. The house is for the kids. I don't want anybody to tell me in the future that I caused the selling of the house as part of my revenge for her infidelity. Plus, I don't want to live in it, in her small hometown an hour away from the capital city where I am now. However, I am taking what I put in it and that amount is not bad at all. Child support amount is not bad either. Plus, we agree that she will be dropping the kids at my place in the capital city every other weekend. I'll just have to drive them back. Now I see my kids almost every weekend, but it is not enough for me. It causes me so much pain I can't handle it sometimes. I just can't allow for 1- and 3-year-old boys to live without a father because of a woman who can't behave. I just wish I could have them, but that's not possible because of the law in Poland. I will have to start driving there in the middle of the week or something to survive. As for her, she keeps messaging me that she loves me, wishes she could turn back time, that she is suffering because of her deeds every day. She softened to a point when she even told me that she no longer thinks checking her phone would be treating her like garbage. She allowed it, and told me I could do it all the time. She told me we could move out of the small town to the capital city. She agreed to tell me everything about the affair and every detail of it if I'll take her back. She came to my parents and apologized. Something must have changed, somebody must have told her something. She's willing to do everything now, actually showing some remorse. Last time she messaged me this: thank you for not selling the house and ending it with me amicably. Agreeing to your terms also means accepting the divorce. I will have to agree in court, but let me just tell you that it will not be true. I don't want this divorce and love you very much. I know you don't believe it and I understand it, but I want you to know that I hope I will have a chance to prove my love to you one day. I love you and I'm sorry for everything. There are no words to express how I regret all this. Things like that sway me and don't help with the healing process. I would be a liar if I told you her words don't affect me. Vision of my boys growing up in the capital city instead of the small town is tempting. I really believe she has a hard time alone with 2 small boys, but she did what she did. She cheated and ruined it all. I thought it's going to get better with time, but the wound heals very slowly. What do you think? Do you think my wife is truly remorseful? She only agreed to tell me the details of her infidelity when I came back, not right away. She didn't offer to check her phone right away. She didn't offer to move to the capital city from the small town right away. 3 months had to pass so she could show some remorse. When she apologizes, she is not even calling me or visiting me. She is doing it over Messenger. Her family turned out to be fully on her side now, her mother calling me a narcissist and her sister claiming I want to make money off the divorce and leave a woman with 2 little boys. Yesterday I visited my kids for a brief time and she offered that I could stay for the night. I left, of course. I would appreciate some insight. Story 3. Wife cheated while on a work trip. Never expected this from her. My wife and I have been together for 11 years, married 6. We have a toddler. 5 days ago, I learned of a month-long between my wife and a coworker of hers and that they had spent time in her hotel room while on a work trip 2 weeks prior, and that time together included a good amount of kissing. I learned this by the AP's wife's mother messaging me on FB with 15 screenshots of their IG conversation that occurred during that work trip, including comments between the 2 of them reminiscing about their chair time, along with loads of kissy face emojis and other flirtatious banter. When I read the MIL's initial FB message, I was shaking, heart racing, tunnel-visioned. My wife was upstairs, so when she came down, I immediately asked if anything happened during the work trip I should know about. I learned here that the term is known as trickle truth. Denials of anything that happened was the response. Eventually, after 10 minutes, she finally admitted to getting drunk at the hotel bar and making out with him in her room. I asked her point blank if she slept with him or if anything sexual happened. The response was a resounding no. She proceeded to tell me there was no sexual touching, no hands up shirts, no parts exposed, no feeling up, no erections felt, just kissing for an extended period of time while sitting in a chair. This is what she's told me multiple times. Well, it started at the doorway with him initiating, then they went to the chair. She ended up getting sick gastrointestinally and spent time on the floor, bathroom, and on the bed, while he lay on the other side of the king-size bed until 6:30 a.m. The next night on their work trip in a different town, he spent time in her hotel room until 10 p.m. or so. The text message there was him asking if she could use company, and her response was something like "you can join," as she was watching TV. Some kissing also occurred that night while she was sober. My wife has had an alcohol problem for many years and had been sober for almost 6 years. Before this work trip, she and I had a discussion about her desire to bring alcohol back into her life on a very limited basis during date nights or going away with me. Also included discussion about her having beverages with her work peers when they go on these quarterly trips. I obviously disagreed with the suggestion, as did almost everyone in the alcoholism sub. But she did it anyway. She lied to me about how much she had to drink that night, and ended up telling me she had multiple drinks, including 2 shots at the hotel bar with her work peers. So, after 6 years, this was the first time she was drunk. And then this happens. Back to the I learned that the flirting, banter, and whatever else has been going on since early October. I asked my wife why she did what she did, if, as she says, our marriage is solid. After some time for her to really think about her actions, the response I got was that it was the excitement, newness, and the feeling of being desired, along with him just being a great work friend. After more deeper discussions around this line of thinking, she mentioned that it likely would have never gone sexual. She concluded that what she enjoyed from it was having him crawl out of his skin, as she puts it. Basically, obtaining some pleasure over being desirable, wanted that would likely never be resolved by a sexual relationship. She explained to me repeatedly that she does not feel any romantic or intimate feelings for this guy and that it just happened. She admitted it was selfish, wrong, and I told her what hurt me the most was the betrayal and secrecy. I had so much anxiety and lost sleep when she went on her work trip because of her flawed relationship with alcohol, and little did I know that that was the least of my worries. "You just have to trust me, babe," was the text I was sent the morning after when I asked her about how much she had to drink the previous night. I never would have expected her to do this, though. Regarding the AP and his wife, I learned that this isn't the first time he's done this in his 7 years of marriage, and that she did go through his IG chats on another device because she had an inkling something would happen while he was away for this work trip. I've been in contact with her through text, and she's a very pleasant but hurt woman who will likely file for divorce. It's obvious though that he just doesn't care what hurt he causes her or what he has allowed to cause others. So for me, I'm having very conflicting feelings about her short-lived affair and what may come out of this. Since D-Day I've felt extreme hurt, then anger, then forgiving, then anger again, and at times when I feel fine, I'm afraid I'm coming off as a pushover, showing my wife that she can get away with this again. They will be traveling again come January and I don't know what to do about that. Anyway, this incident has triggered some real deep and open discussions with my wife about desire, intimacy, and what she wants. It first started with me trying to understand what she was seeking or what she felt was missing from her life, and if there was anything we could do together to bring some excitement or feeling of newness into our marriage without the secrecy and betrayal. We aren't explicitly talking about opening the marriage, but she has expressed that she would be fine and would encourage me to have a person at work I could banter with. I don't know, it's weird to me right now. Is this her way of giving me a pass, or even saying she wants an open marriage but doesn't want to really admit it yet to me or herself? Divorce right now is not on the table, and I know an open marriage really isn't the best solution for something like this, and I realize it shouldn't even be discussed or considered unless the marriage is truly solid. Thanks for reading my disorganized thoughts. Your input is welcome. Story 4. Wife of 4 years, have a toddler, cheated with multiple men. Caught my wife of 4 years cheating on me. She is 28, I am 38. We have a toddler. Found out from seeing a sexual innuendo text on her phone from a random guy. She denied cheating. I then went through her iPad and found out that she made sex tapes with a different guy than the one on the iPhone. Then I saw that she was sexting with multiple other guys. I then saw on her iPad that she had sex in my home with the initial guy from the sexual innuendos. Wife did not know that I had her iPad. She swore on my son's life that she never cheated during our marriage. Days later I gave her iPad back and told her I watched her sex tapes and I know everything. I jokingly said that the tapes were hot, and her answer was yeah, it was hot, I should do OnlyFans. Wife has absolutely no remorse for what she did and completely blames me for her cheating. I found more pics on her iPad from early in our marriage that are highly suspicious of cheating. Sexy selfies showing off a scratch mark on her ass and other times showing off bruising on her hip. I got a paternity test and my son is indeed my son. I filed for divorce. She has completely blamed me because I pushed her away, neglected her. She even claims I cheated on her last year, which is insanely a lie. Of course, we have had our share of arguments in the past year with a new baby and moving across the country. I work very hard and have a prestigious career and make excellent money providing a great life for my wife who got to stay at home with her son and live a luxurious life. What are your thoughts from my brief story? I feel horrible about my marriage failing. I keep ruminating that I drove her away. I caught my wife in April. The sex tape was made in March. I forgot to mention that when I found her iPad in April, she had texted her mom right before I caught her that she doesn't love me anymore and wanted to get a divorce. Her mom tried to encourage her to work things out but then gave in and told my wife to have her friend find another man. My wife's response was, "Don't you worry, Mom, I already have an arsenal of men." She told her mom she was emotionally detached and basically that the juice ain't worth the squeeze to work on the marriage. Also, looking back on her iPad, she had texted a friend back in January that she had already gone to a lawyer about divorce but needed to get financially independent first. To this day, my wife claims that the cheating only began in March. Despite the sexting of nudes I found on her iPad from last year and suspicious photos of her showing off her bruises and scratches in the past, I want to believe that she has NPD. I feel like she has always been a serial cheater and just continued it after she lost her baby weight and felt hot again. And at that point got frustrated with our marriage and had a plan to divorce me in the near future when she lined up her next supply. Appreciate everyone's thoughts. I left out an embarrassing piece of information. 1 year ago in July 2022, my wife and I and 7-month-old baby moved across the country for my job. We were under enormous stress with the move, which cost a ton of money, and we weren't wealthy at that time. I didn't want to hire professional packers for our one-bedroom apt. I thought we could pack our boxes ourselves since we had the time and it would save several $1,000s. We already were spending a ton of money to move the furniture across the country. My wife was pissed. She grew up very spoiled. She demanded to bring her mom down to help us pack, and so she did. So all of us are in this small apt. I was focused on packing larger fragile things, so to my wife it didn't seem like I was packing enough compared to her. She kept bitching at me. She had been bitching at me for months. In fact, 1 month before the move, she was visiting her parents and she went crazy on me when I told her I was going to movie theaters alone. She demanded I FaceTime her in the theater and show her the tickets, accusing me of cheating. I look back and think that maybe she was projecting as if she was cheating. I had been accused of cheating prior to this, which was totally false with no reason to suspect. So back to the move. Wife continued to be bitchy. Also, I had an issue with my job with a licensing form and was freaking out that I may not be able to start on time or even lose my job. So tensions were high. She even violently poked my shoulder while we were packing. She was just pissed off. Wife asked me to watch our son. So I did and decided to FaceTime my parents for like 10 minutes. I get off the phone and wife bitches at me. "Why are you talking to your parents and not helping?" I'm like, "You told me to watch our son, what's the big deal?" I said something like EFF your family, and then my wife said to me, "Your parents do nothing for us." I am ashamed to say what happened next. I have tremendous remorse and regret. I literally spit on my wife while she was holding our son. I don't know what came over me. There was just so much tension. I am so ashamed, and she knows it. I've never hit her or done anything like that before. We went to marriage counseling, but the woman we went to sucked and was just like, how does that make you feel? Wife to this day uses the spit against me and says that I deserve to be cheated on because I spit on her. I told her you poked my shoulder violently and we were all under tremendous stress. It was an unfortunate event. She never reflects on things she has done or not done to contribute to the failure of our marriage. I keep ruminating that the spit even caused her to completely shut down and lose all love and respect for me, and that caused her to just check out and cheat. At least this is her victim's story. Is this believable? Would this cause a woman to serial cheat and make sex tapes all while caring for a toddler? One more thing. While we were moving after the spit event, she told me for the first time in our 5-year relationship that her father had a long-term affair when she was 10 years old. It was so bizarre to me that she was telling me this after 5 years together. I think back now, I wonder if she was projecting, confessing that she had cheated. I have high suspicion to believe she had cheated before my son was conceived, 2 years before this spitting event. There were tons of photos of a scratch on her butt that she was posing in underwear while she was out of town for me at her parents'. She often visited her parents prior to our son's conception. She also had lingerie photos on her phone that I had taken or seen before, but now there were emojis covering her face, probably sending them to guys. I even saw a picture of 2 of the guys on her phone 2 years ago that she would end up cheating with now. My situation is crazy. I feel so guilty that my spitting episode may have destroyed my marriage. But there's a lot of stuff going on here. Thoughts. Story 5. Found out about wife's affair. I found out almost 2 weeks ago that my wife of 11 years has been having an affair. I've seen the texts, I've seen the pictures, I've seen the plans to meet up, and have even seen her phone location at his house. I've never felt so broken in my life, and the only thing holding it together for me is my kids. She doesn't know that I've found out. At least, I don't think so. I've been meeting with lawyers. I still can't process how my wife is the same person exchanging these messages. The woman who's told me for years that she doesn't feel comfortable sending sexy texts, pics, but is quite graphic with her AP. It makes me sick to my stomach. Now I don't know what's true. Has she ever seen me as a romantic partner? Has she just been sticking around for the kids? I have all these questions, but at the end of the day it doesn't matter. This is a bell that can't be unrung. All I can hope for is amicable co-parenting for the sake of my kids. Update. Just wanted to throw out the steps so far. Consulted multiple lawyers. White heavy checkmark. Seen individual counselor. White heavy checkmark. Have counselors set up for kids. White heavy checkmark. Gathering financials. Got most hitting the gym. White heavy checkmark. Update. Thank you everyone for all the support. It has really helped me out. So since the first post, it's been rough. I finished up consults with lawyers right before Thanksgiving and found one I liked. Due to their office closures, I did not get a chance to retain them and get the ball rolling until this week. It has been a ton of paperwork. My wife is still not aware that I know of the affair or am filing, though she's definitely starting to suspect something. I've begun to notice weird things I'd never seen over the course of our marriage. I don't know if she's actually a pathological liar, but I have begun to see a lot of little lies she tells everyone about a bunch of things that don't matter and serve no purpose being lied about. One example, Black Friday, she asked her girlfriends to go out for a drink, but tells me it was one of her friends. Then tells AP that she's going out with a different friend, who she didn't even ask. Things like this that no one would really care about. But it's been shocking now that I'm looking into things, seeing the ease with which she tells these lies. She is really good. My side of the family is aware of what's going on. They're just as shocked. My sister has seen the more tame texts and says it looks like a completely different person. Additionally, AP is trying to get her not necessarily to have sex at work, but at least be more affectionate. She says she won't because she's worried about her job. Lol. Not her marriage, her job. I've dug into her financials and found some credit cards I didn't know about, but the balances weren't as awful as I'd been fearing. Last week, I had told her there was a fraud alert on my accounts. Got new cards and took her off my only CC, which has a high limit. Yesterday, she realized I took her off the CC and I played it off as them messing things up with the fraud alert. But she's definitely more paranoid, and had even changed her phone lock screen code. Just now, I got word that paperwork is pretty much complete and ready to be filed. They suggest the same thing some of you did, have her served at work. I told them I want to make sure she makes her next car payment this next week, and asked to have her served the day after. I will give another update after she's served. Wish me luck. Update. Sorry, too juicy not to share. STBXW calls me on the way home from work. Definitely doesn't seem like she is aware I know, but maybe she's trying to deflect. She proceeds to tell me that she and the head of HR think that a P might be on drugs or have a gambling problem. He's borrowing money from people but has repaid them. They've caught him on some real money gambling app on his phone, but also mentions that now she has to work tomorrow. I figured she's meeting with him, but no, she wants me and the kids to go with her and see her work, her office, etc. I am in some Alice in Wonderland upside down world.